Hello everybody, this is Jenny from tuftinglove.com, and today I'm going to show you how to change the pile height on our NK01 cut pile tufting gun. So before we start, let's have a look at our tools. We have the Allen wrench set that comes with the tufting gun. We have a small measuring tool, whatever you have to measure, like measuring tape or whatever will work. And we have an open-ended wrench, 8 millimeters. Before we start unscrewing anything, make sure your tufting gun is unplugged, because you don't want to accidentally turn it on while working with tools on it. It will hurt the machine and it will also hurt you, and we don't want this to happen. So to set the pile height, you want to measure the distance between this edge of the scissor and the pusher. This is basically generating the pile height. So we are going to unscrew that screw to be able to move the pusher and then adjust the lower bearing to make sure the pusher will be again placed a little bit in front of the foot. We are never going to loosen the foot when we change the pile height of our cut pile tufting gun, because you always want the foot to be aligned with the hole of your needle. If this is not the case, you will most probably end up with an uneven weave on the back of your tufting glove. So let's start. We can check the pile height, as I mentioned before, by measuring the distance from the pusher to the edge of the scissor. You see we are at around 11 or 12 millimeters at the moment, and for this tutorial we want to go like to the highest pile height. This is 17, and will give us the option to just fully push the pusher back. To be able to move the pusher, we want to loosen that little screw on the bottom of your gun. Just loosen it, you don't have to unscrew it all the way. I just loosen it a bit and you will be able to push in the pusher. It will not slide around super easily. You will have to put some pressure on it. And now we're already fully to the back. It's a bit hard to measure now actually, but it works. The edge is here, so we are at around 17, 18 millimeters now, what's fully maximum. So we set the pile height between scissor and pusher now, and what we want to happen is that this whole part is moving more to the front. So we want to increase the distance of this rod, and because we went from a low pile to want to go to a higher pile, we need to loosen the scissor adjustment screw, because otherwise the scissor will get stuck there and you will not be able to adjust this. So we just loosen it so we can move to the front, and we leave it there for a moment. We will take care of this screw later. So now we want to increase the distance of this bearing. So what we want to do first is unscrew this nut fully and loosen this nut. So we want to increase the distance, so we want to turn this out. And to be sure we are not turning it out too much, we take it off fully, and we want to make sure that we are not just having this rod only in for like 2 millimeters. We want to go like, let's say, about this depth. So since when we are turning it on, we don't have control over it. So I usually use the nut to guide me, place it where I'm sure it will be fine, and just turn it on there. Now I can slip it back on to tighten it. And we want to make sure that the pusher part is coming out over the foot, what it's not doing now. So this means we also need to loosen that screw and increase the distance a bit more. And now you can always just slip it on and check the distance here. That's still not too much. You always want to make sure that your gear is on the outmost part at this very moment. And now we have a little tiny gap here, and that looks perfect to me. So we are gonna tighten all the nuts down again, fix this one back, make sure everything is nice and tight. And now when we turn the gear, you will see it's working just fine and smoothly. So now we want to set the scissor. So we want to make sure the scissor is closing when it's at the outmost point. So when you're going to the highest pile height, it's actually very easy because you just have to push this screw to the very front and you will be good. If you would go for if you go for the lowest, you would just go to the very back, and everything in between you have to trial and error. So now that we are going to the front, we can just push it to the front and tighten it here. And when we check it now, you can see the scissor is coming to the front and closing at the very front part. And that's exactly what we want to happen. Thank you for watching and see you next time.